Well, hello there, YouTube. Okay. So, this is going to be a review, talking about, or whatever, about the Ka Bar TDI. Yeah. All right. So this is I'm pretty sure this is the original size, non-serrated. Sorry, I got some fuzz on my gloves here. Non-serrated, original size. Which, for the purpose of this knife, definitely go with the non-serrated. Don't get the serrated one. But, so this knife is very good in theory, but in execution, there's a little bit wrong with it, in my opinion. So the theory behind this is that, especially if you're carrying a firearm open, but if you're carrying a firearm at all, is what you do is you put this on your weak side. So if you're right-handed, it'd be on your left side, generally near your mags, or where your mag should be. And then if somebody's trying to take your firearm, or is too close to you and kind of wrestling with you for you to draw your firearm, in that situation, you're using your right hand to kind of guard your firearm or press it into the holster. So you're using your strong hand, right? And then, so your left hand's about all you have for defense. And if you're wrestling over a holster like that, you might not have the best targets for punching, and you probably can't really turn your hips into punching because you guys are wrestling something that is attached to your hip, right? So if you don't know anything about fighting, you really need to turn your hip to generate power. If you can't turn your hip, your punches aren't going to be doing a lot, right? So you can be punching a guy in the face, but if you're not turning your hip into it, you're not going to knock him out, probably. And you're not going to do a whole lot of damage. And with the adrenaline going, they're probably not even going to feel the pain that much. So the theory behind this is that you would, instead of punching them, you just kind of stab them, right? A lot better effect on target. You don't need to turn your hips to get this to go into a guy, right? This will go in pretty easy. So that's kind of the concept. And then you stab until they stop, or enough space is made that you can draw your gun, and then if they still need to be shot, you shoot them. Look at your use of force laws and whatever in your area. But if somebody's trying to take your gun, that's lethal force by most opinions and legalities. So that's what this is for. This isn't for Filipino martial art knife fighting bullshido stuff, right? It's you punch them, and that's what this angle is that a punch is still going to stab or cut them regardless of which way you're holding it. I do think that the forward grip gets you a little better angle, especially if you have trained punching, because you'll probably kind of twist those first two knuckles forward slightly to not break your pinky knuckle, get boxer knuckle, right? A boxer's fracture. So as you punch, this side's probably going to lead a little bit more anyways, and then you can exaggerate that more with the knife so you can get more of a straight on. Whereas back here, and if you punch real properly, right, it's kind of, you might not actually get them with that. You have to kind of punch improperly, which is kind of a bad habit to get into, because if you do it without a knife, then you're going to break your pinky, right? So you're going to crack that knuckle. That's not good. But so I do think the forward grip is best, but it can be used in a reverse grip for the same kind of concept. As you see, the finish on this is still perfect, right? This is a defensive knife. It's not really for use beyond maybe you have to stab somebody, right? If you want a knife to cut boxes and prepare wood and stuff, this isn't that knife. They have come out with a newer one. I believe it's called the TDI Detective, which I think it has the same blade length. I think it has a shorter handle. I think the handle's about that short, and it has a better sheath. It looks like it has a better sheath, because we're going to talk about the sheath, which is one of the main issues with this knife, actually, is the sheath options. So this is the sheath as it comes from Ka Bar. Okay, so we'll get into the negative. So one negative is people or not people, the people who designed this knife, they're saying, you know, they angled it like this, so it's a lot more like a firearm angle, so you draw it like a gun, and it does have that angle, and unfortunately it makes me want to draw it like a gun, which is actually bad, because you come down, if this was a gun, and you have your finger right here, and then you would draw your gun, right? And now your finger's on this blade, and if you ran it down like you would to a trigger, right, you're gonna not have a good day. That's gonna cut probably to the bone. That's a pretty sharp knife. That's a little criticism. So you're not truly drawing it like a gun. You're drawing it, you know, up here. But, and this is where sheath and a little bit of blade design comes into the issue. So when you're holding this, you can see clearly you want to be up in here, up into this choil or whatever you want to call it, as deep as possible. Grip it. That feels good in the hand, right? And just like a gun, with a knife, you want to get your master grip before you draw the knife, right? You want to have the grip you're going to have at the end, right? Before you pull it out of the sheath, you want to get the grip you're going to have after you pull it out of the sheath, like when you're ready to use it, right? You don't want to pull a knife out like this and then have to, right, readjust. The problem with this knife is that, and the sheath, is that it retains in here. So this is absolutely the highest I can get on the knife in the sheath. Big gap there. I really want it to be in. Now, it's not a huge issue of just kind of sinking it in, but I want to be able to get this grip before this comes out of the sheath, right? Now, as you see, that's not going to work so well. So what it needs is it needs to retain somewhere on the blade, and that you could just cut a hole straight through the blade, you know, a channel or something, and you could make your holster retain off that, or your sheath retain off that. Problem solved. And you know, this isn't a hard use bushcraft knife, so I'd be fine with a hole up here in the blade. There are aftermarket sheaths for this. I don't think any of them fix that issue. They're kind of expensive. I haven't really tested them. Another big issue with this sheath is this clip. I own at least 2 of these sheaths and probably 3 of these clips because they bend out super easy. I don't think one of them has survived more than 2 days of actually carrying this knife. They will very quickly catch on something, pull out, and be jacked up. I'm pretty sure this is the newer of the 2 clips, and you see these markings. That's because it's me crushing it in a vise to try to get it back down, and it's still not, like when they come touching. I don't know, I hope you can see that, but they come fully down, and as you can see, there's space there now, and that's even after I crushed it down with a vise. So these sheaths are really not good. Yeah, they'll catch on a belt, or they'll catch on a door or a piece of fabric or something weird. They catch on the weirdest things, and it's such soft metal that they just bend out. I don't want to do it because I don't want to have to crush this thing in a vise again. But if I put too much more pressure on it, it would just bend out. I think even that actually bended out slightly. Now, it does look like the new Detective sheath is better for that, at least. Again, I don't think anything's fixed the retention point issue. And there are aftermarket sheaths for this that, you know, they use, you know, you can attach like a tech lock to it, or you can attach, you know, whatever. They don't use this clip. So that might be the way to go. I don't know. But so just assume if you buy this knife, which these knives aren't that expensive, $30, $40, maybe $50 at time of filming. I haven't priced it in a while, but they're not crazy expensive or anything. But just keep in mind that you're probably gonna need, if you buy the knife, you're probably gonna also be spending another $20 or $30 on an aftermarket sheath, because these These ones are no bueno. But the knife itself, once it's out of the sheath and you are choked up on it, it is very well designed for what it is intended. But yeah, there's just some sheath problems. This handle is also a bit long. Depending on your body shape and exactly where you carry this can start getting a little pokey, right, in your side. Again, I think I want to get the Detective because it has like that much shorter grip. So I think it would be, and then, right, again, so even if you can only get 2 fingers on the Detective, for what it's meant to do, I think that would be fine. But yeah, not a bad knife. The Detective's probably better. Sheath sucks. Sheath is really bad. But what are you gonna do? All right, see ya.